Kristen Apple from Applepuncture, and I'm recently pregnant, and this prompted me to create some videos on that topic. The first one I did was actually on the decision of whether to have a child, and I wanted to express my support toward those who decide not to have children, those who are totally not sure and they're in the middle on this decision, and those who have decided that they do want to have children. So this video is oriented toward those who have decided they want to do it and they are trying to conceive, but they're not yet pregnant. So a lot of times when I see fertility patients at Applepuncture, they're coming to acupuncture because they've been trying for a long time and they're kind of frustrated and disheartened. So I wanted to start out by saying that it actually, for a healthy individual, is very common and not normal. It's normal to take about 6 months to a year to conceive without any help. That's pretty normal in terms of, you know, our busy lives, aligning schedules with your partner, the really 24-hour period that there is to actually, for the sperm to actually meet the egg and it all aligning at like the right time. It really is a miracle. I was lucky in the sense that I got pregnant faster than expected. I had prepared myself mentally and tried to prepare my heart for a year, and it happened real fast. I think that has to do with, you know, being an acupuncturist, working with acupuncture, and the things that I'm going to tell you about in this video that will help with your fertility. So the first thing I would say is mentally preparing yourself that this is a process and this will take time, but it's not a process that's like a hardworking, you know, really stress. It shouldn't be like a no fun kind of process. Think of it as this is going to be a fun process that I'm meant to go through. I'm meant to learn about myself, become closer with my partner, and actually heal some things that may need some healing on the way to conception. So that's a big thing to keep in mind as you're going along, and kind of the mentality that I would recommend trying to stick with. The next thing I would say along those lines is we all know stress reduction is important in relation to pretty much any kind of dis-ease in the body, and especially fertility. We all have heard stories of people trying and finally adopting, and then they get pregnant, things like that. Or doing multiple IVF cycles, they didn't work, and then they adopted, and then they became pregnant with twins or something crazy like that. So yes, if you can start to notice your stress levels, start to get to know yourself. What helps you reduce stress? And it may take some time to figure out what that is. For me, like something like massage, getting massage, acupuncture, those really help calm my nervous system, get me back into my body, things like that. But it could also be as simple as binge watching Netflix, like something just to chill out, something comforting. That's another big one, is get to know what brings you comfort. Treat and pamper yourself. This is a time to really like get comfortable in your body, get to know yourself, and also spend time with your partner. If you do become pregnant, this is a precious time. You're gonna have just you and your partner, so enjoy that time. And I should also say as an aside that it is totally normal for this process to cause some stress, tension in your relationship. It happens. It can be worked around, worked through. Just try to have compassion for each other. Try to laugh when you eventually can, and you know, and then try to return to that it's about the love. You know, try to return to enjoying this time whenever you can. And some of that will be taking care of yourself when you're on your own, away from your partner, so that you can be present in a way that is actually going to be good for your relationship. The last thing I'll say related to stress reduction that I recommend for all my patients, whether they're fertility patients or sports injury patients, any number of things, is just taking time every day to, if you can do it every day, awesome. To lie down on your bed for about 5 minutes. If you can do more like 15, I love that. But just lie down and let your body completely chill out. You don't have to make it about doing, if possible, it doesn't have to be about anything like meditation. If you can do meditation and you love it, then do that. But it's really about just letting the muscles relax, letting the nervous system regulate, and just letting the mind do whatever it wants. And that is a way to reduce stress, and it's something you can return to as you time, just a little bit of time just for you. I know those with kids, it's hard to find, but maybe 5 minutes. Diet. Diet is huge, okay? So when people come and they are having trouble with fertility, or even just beginning their fertility journey, as we say, the first thing I want to know about is their diet and kind of what is their normal, how's their body processing food, etc. A lot of times that's going to make a major shift. So I notice, a lot of women are on the go. Sometimes they're eating a granola bar for lunch and like a smoothie or something like that. And really, it's not enough a lot of times, or it's from an acupuncture perspective, very cold. It's creating a lot of cold within their bodies. And maybe they're not getting enough iron-rich or blood-rich enriching foods. So from an acupuncture perspective, your iron levels could be normal in your blood work, but you still might not have enough blood filling the body. So you're blood deficient even if your iron levels are fine. And we want to have a nice like plush womb where there's plenty of blood and where the fertilized egg can implant. So that's our goal. So we need to have enough richness, enough resource here, and that comes from the diet pretty much, and getting enough rest. So it might be helpful to meet with a practitioner. Acupuncturists are great with this, to kind of get in a little assessment of what could be adjusted in your diet. Another big one related to diet is caffeine. Really hard to get people to want to go off of caffeine. I was myself an addict. I consider myself still a caffeine addict, but I started to have a reaction to caffeine when I started even thinking about getting pregnant. And I don't know if it's related. I don't know if the baby from somewhere in the ether was like, you gotta stop the caffeine, mom. But I started getting a migraine every single time, like 2 days after drinking caffeine. And I love my cappuccinos, but it was so debilitating that I quit. And now, similarly, if I have any caffeine, I will get a migraine. Still going on. So they say that, a lot of people say you can have like a cup of coffee, 200, 300 milligrams of caffeinated beverage. I think that is okay, but you really want to start paying attention to what your body is saying and whether your body actually likes the feeling that it's getting and whether your baby would like it. The other thing is alcohol and sugar. I'm not saying go crazy, cut everything out. If you can, great. But just like look at how often and how much. Try to reduce. Big important one is the prenatal vitamin. If you can start that, you start it before you're even, pregnant, start it way before. That's going to help a lot, and it's going to just sort of fill in something where you may have a couple of little gaps here and there or deficiencies. All right, let's talk about exercise. So if you know me at all, I love exercise. I feel a need to move every day in some form or fashion. So there are two sides of this coin though. If you're someone who doesn't like to exercise and doesn't at all, I would highly recommend starting some kind of movement that gets the chi, the blood, the energy moving through your body, and that keeps your body at a healthy body weight. It helps your digestion, it will help stress levels. Even 20 minutes a day is great. If you're someone who exercises really intensely, like hardcore, you may want to just notice how much you're taxing your body and maybe dial it back a tiny bit. That's another thing you can talk about with the practitioner or an acupuncturist. Someone who, like let's say for example, you're a runner and you're training and you don't get your period. You haven't had your period for months. That may mean that you need to kind of dial back your training a little bit until your period comes back. You're not going to get pregnant without a cycle. So that's just an example of where we may need to adjust our physical activity a little bit. Also important is noticing, let's say that you do work out. Are you getting adequate rest in between your workouts and you're busy at work and you're standing, maybe you work at a restaurant and you're working out and you're on the go with your friends at night, partying or whatever, and you're not really resting. Maybe that's your lifestyle you're used to, but it's not really giving your body a chance to really build yin from an acupuncture perspective. Yin is the feminine, resting, quiet, relaxing component of the yin-yang polarization. So just start noticing, and if you need support, talk with a practitioner. One thing that it might seem kind of like not a big deal that I notice with people is temperature. So I work with a lot of women who I notice are cold. Women tend toward cold until menopause, and then we tend toward being really hot. But a lot of women who are trying to get pregnant are really cold, like their legs and their feet and into the womb area are on a cold level. And from an acupuncture perspective, that's significant. So I'll explain that a little bit. Let's just think about what cold does. It tightens things up. We can contract when we are cold to keep the warmth in, and that slows down circulation. It keeps it closer to our core. So we want to make sure that we're warm in this womb area. Especially in the winter months, I would say the diet, your practitioner, your acupuncturist would talk to you about, like, are you eating a lot of cold foods? You want to eat warming foods, and that's a whole other conversation I won't get into right now. Are you wearing enough layers? Are your feet always exposed to the cold? Do you have some good quality like wool socks? It's also can be nice, sometimes people wear sort of like belly shirts and stuff that leave their abdomen exposed, their midriff. Very cute, but in the winter it can be, it can allow too much cold into this area. So another thing that can be nice and, very comforting, I must say, is a heating pad, or a hot water bottle. It's so nice to put that in your bed while you're like brushing your teeth and then get into bed. It's so nice and cozy. So I encourage that with my fertility patients, and they tend to love it and just embrace it. If you're downstairs watching TV and you're cold, you could just have your heating pad under you, and it's like the most comforting, relaxing thing. Maybe the most important thing is our thoughts, how we're thinking, because we know that our thoughts do come in to create the material world. So a lot of times people have subconscious thoughts on this topic because it's such a huge topic. It's huge because there's so much fear and also desire around it. So, like I said, it is a process. If you have time, maybe you could start to notice your thoughts, but sometimes it helps to just start writing your thoughts, because sometimes the subconscious will come through as you're writing and you're like, oh, I didn't even know it. If you're just sitting there trying to think, what do I think? It's harder to access the subconscious. So try writing down your thoughts and notice, oh, I've been having a lot of negative thoughts on this topic, actually. Like throughout the day, I didn't even realize I'm thinking negatively like all the time, and then, like I said, in terms of the process, you can take those negative thoughts and actually use that as an opportunity to know yourself better and to arrive in a whole new place on that topic. Give yourself that time, and Give yourself the space, the time to really heal anything that needs attention in yourself. So the last thing I will say is, if we all need support, especially on these larger things. So if you're overwhelmed by any of what I said, your beliefs, your negative thoughts, challenging finding a way to get proper nutrition, etc. There are so many different wonderful practitioners out there that would love to help you, and also friends and family. So you are not alone. This is not something you're expected to do all by yourself. So lean on the people around you and enjoy this process.